Hi everyone, nubkeks here. Welcome back to Nub Raids, and in today's video, it's going to be like a kind of a fun theory crafting video. Let me know if you like it. I wasn't planning to do this video at all. Like, I haven't been planning to do any account takeovers at the moment, but Chub40's actually in my clan, and he's been struggling with Hydra, and he was asking for help today on Discord. Now, Chub40 actually helped me a ton with Tag Arena. He gave me a whole bunch of advice, breaking down some potential teams and stuff. So when I saw him looking for help, I was like, you know what? We need to return the favor here. So we're going to come on it and theory craft up some Hydra teams for him. He was doing, and obviously this is like a really advanced account. So he was trying to do Nightmare Hydra. And this is the team he was trying, and he was having a really, really tough time, right? A really tough time. So let's throw together some options for stuff he can use. We'll use this bottom section here. Basically, I think the problem with this team, if we look at this team, when it comes to Nightmare Hydra, what does this team not have? So, okay, we've got the Duchess to revive. That's cool. And she is obviously giving us Veil, so we don't have an Inquisitor Shamail here. We have Skull Lord Vargal. He's actually a really good Mischief tank. Really good, because he gives himself Strengthen for 2 turns, and his base stats are completely nuts. So, right, he can basically tank Mischief with Strengthen and tons of resistance. And at the same time, he can actually, every 2 turns, provoke Decay. So he can basically, when he's booked, permanently provoke Decay while also tanking Mischief. Then he will also bring in AoE decrease attack with 100% chance, which is generally helpful, and also pretty much hard counters the Head of Wrath. I think his A1 can actually do some reasonable damage as well, because he has a chance to repeat this skill, 30% chance to repeat it. He can actually pump out some reasonable damage with that. So he's just great for this. He's got the best base stats in the entire game, so he's a great champion. We've got Ugo for decreased defense, then we've got Husk and Royal Guard for damage, and Geo for damage. So when I was looking at this team, there's a couple of things that did strike me. So number one, in terms of increased speed and decreased speed, we really have almost none. Okay, we have almost none. Royal Guard can place decreased speed, but I'm not even sure if this Royal Guard, can I see his stats? Yeah, I can. Okay, he has 336 accuracy. So he's actually, this is a really nice Royal Guard. Defense is a bit low, but apart from that, so he can place decreased speed quite a bit, but that's fairly supplemental. It's quite random. It's a long cooldown, and he obviously prioritizes takedown first. So that's all we have. We've no increased speed. So we're really going to struggle with actually keeping up with this Hydra. It's just going to take so many turns compared to us. So looking at this, actually problem number 2 is Geomancer. Geomancer, his A1 is an AoE attack, right? It's an AoE attack. It actually looks like he's not fully booked yet either. This is a problem because we only have Duchess to protect us from Torment, and she gives us Perfect Veil for 2 turns on a 4-turn cooldown. She's probably very fast. Yeah, she's super fast at 300 speed, but still, we're not going to have full coverage of Perfect Veil. So like Geomancer in particular, he is going to get feared, and that's really bad. What I would say, looking at this team, unfortunately he doesn't have the champion, but taking out Geomancer or Husk, probably Geomancer you prefer to take out in this situation, and putting in Lady Kimmy or Shamrock instead would make this team 10 times better, I think. Basically, what does Lady Kimmy would be preferable because she brings everything that you want, right? Everything that you want. She gives you increased speed, increased accuracy. That's great. Increased accuracy will let Husk provide some supplemental provokes. It makes that Royal Guard decrease speed really easy to place on everyone. She can also do some supplemental block buffs. And then she has decreased speed, decreased accuracy AoE too. That decreased accuracy is really good to, again, just mitigate some of those heal reductions, poisons from blight, all that sort of stuff. So she is the perfect champion with, again, crazy base stats. But he doesn't have her. He just doesn't have her. So what will we do instead? Let's theory craft up some teams. And I want to show you some of my thought process. This is going to be a fairly quick theory crafting. So, I mean, I'm probably going to make a bunch of mistakes, but that's totally okay. So one thing I'd be trying to do, let's not worry about the team order or anything like that. But I did see when he was showing me his champions, I wanted to jump onto his account. We do have the 3 Shamails. Actually, let's remove the Shamail real fast. So we do have, actually, no, let's not. Let's put them all in. We actually have 3 Inquisitor Shamails all rolled up. So let's just make, or potentially make, 3 different Shamail teams. So not worrying about the Duchess at all. Just because I'm not fully convinced. We might try and make a Duchess team after. I'm not fully convinced that we have the right champions to make a Duchess team, right? You need specific stuff really to go with her. Whereas the Shamael team is really easy to build, and we know that we've got good champions to go with that. So I actually saw on this account we have a perfect champion already, Kantra. I did a whole video on Kantra, guys. Kantra is here. So we can definitely use Kantra as our lead champion alongside Shamael. Shamael obviously doing his passive stuff, and that boosts up Kantra, and she can do this AoE attack, placing block buffs, decrease attack, decrease speed, weaken, decrease accuracy, heal reduction, provoking as well. Amazing stuff with Kantra. So that's a perfect combo. Kantra in the lead, Shamael boosting her. What else do we have? He has most of his champions in his vault, so we have to maybe flick back and forth. Okay, we also have Mashald. Boom. Mashald is in. There we go. Mashald, another perfect champion to be boosted by Shamael. Mashald gives the whole team increased speed, crit damage, and he puts out True Fear and Leech on everything, and then he spams his A1, which does crazy damage. So he's an absolute god tier damage dealer for Hydra. So I think Mashald is kind of a no-brainer to be boosted by Shamael. That's really good. And then for the final one, what else? Do we have anything else that's like top tier? We've got Geomancer, so we might just make a Geomancer as the third one. Yeah, maybe just Geomancer as the third. Obviously, you can put Mother Cybele as the lead. That works really well too. That's a good one. She just spams out her A1 with decreased speed. So that's a good solid option. You know, maybe I need to revisit Thea myself. I do need to revisit Thea and see if we can make her work. Okay, one downside, he has said he doesn't have blood shield accessories, so none of these Shamaels are built as Mischief tanks, so that's kind of a downside. That's for now, let's just put the Geomancer. I think we only have one. I think we only have one Geo. Let's put him in. Yeah, it looks like it. Only the one. Oh, look, dude, he's got a Shamrock. Okay, hang on. So he actually has Shamrock. So let me throw... That's a game changer. Shamrock might even work at level 50 because we're going to run in with Duchess. Let's actually throw this together. I didn't see that he had Shamrock. He didn't show it to me in the screenshots. So let's put him in. Mr. Shamrock. This might be actually his best team. This team would be really, really good. We just put in one Royal Gizzle. Royal Gizzle. We'll put in one of these dudes. And then we put in the decreased defense with Ugo. Where's Ugo? I'm always blind. I actually have two Ugos. There we go. So this actually might be his ideal team right here, though I think his stuff isn't booked, which you would need to book it up. So, for example, you can't run Lydia. Yeah, so he's not booked up. This is something to consider for the future. You can't run Lydia with Skull Lord Vargal, which would be really nice too, but you can't because Lydia gives you Strengthen, so it would prevent Skull Lord from being Mischief tank. But this team should be really, really, really good, actually. You've got Duchess giving you damage reduction, Perfect Veil, increased attack, block debuffs, Veil, all that stuff. Shamrock gives you increased defense, increased speed on a 3-turn cooldown, and he does AoE decreased speed. He can also steal some buffs, which is nice. We have Ugo giving us the decreased defense and block buffs, giving us some healing and some leeches. Skull Lord Vargal, AoE decreased attack, provoking decay, and Mischief tanking. And then Royal Guard and Husk are really just in for damage. They actually have very high accuracy as well, so they will also be doing a good bit of supplemental decreased speed. And supplemental decreased defense, and with Husk some supplemental provokes if needed. I think that actually looks like a great team. Let's come back to these sorts of teams first, though, but that's one to definitely note. In terms of a Mischief tank, let's put a Mischief tank into each team, see what we've got. So we do have an Oboro. I wonder if she's built up. Is she built up? No, she's not built for this, but you could potentially use Oboro for sure. Obviously, the ideal Mischief tank is on his account is probably Skull Lord Vargal. So what team would we put Skull Lord on? Let's think about this. What team do we put the Skull Lord on? So we want to put him in a team that doesn't have Lydia. I'm actually leaning towards this team right here then. I think Skull Lord might fit well into this particular team. We've got Mashald on this team giving us increased speed, so we're not going to bring Lydia on this team. We're going to skip the Lydia here. So that's kind of spicy. Does he have a Sissia? Do we have a Sissia Flame Tongue? I think she's high up the list. Doesn't look like we've got a Sissia. Okay. Or do we have a Venus or something like that? No, doesn't look like it. Doesn't look like it. All right. We've got Tumisia, though. Let's put Tumisia maybe in that team. We could try that. Some burns. Gonna need a healer over here as well. Okay, so let's take a look at this then. So we're gonna have Lydia in one of these teams. We could maybe put Lydia in this team. No, actually, let's stick to the Mischief tank first. Let's focus on one thing at a time. One thing at a time. Okay, so let's think about Mischief tanks. Who else do we have that can be a Mischief tank? Jingwan. Jingwan, it's his calling. He can do it, can't he? He puts strength in on himself. He does decrease accuracy, decrease crit rate. He extends debuffs. Okay. Yo, Jingwan, he's immune to fears too. He do block. Okay. I mean, Jingwan, Mischief tank. He wouldn't be really that good. Who else do we have that would actually do it and be good? Nari can sort of do it, but he's not the best. We're looking for champions that can easily self-buff. Now, here's one. Elder Scargles. He can do it. He gives himself increased defense. Okay, this isn't that useful, but his A1, his A1 gives himself increased speed if he crits, and he gives himself increased crit rate if he doesn't crit. And then he's got a triple hitter that does extra hits and puts out AoE burns. Actually pretty good. I think you can build Elder Scarg potentially as a Mischief tank. So you'd make him slow. He's better in a Blood Shield accessory, and then trying to probably get the increased crit rate on him. But I guess he could crit. How long does that last for? It doesn't. I guess it's for 2 turns. Yeah, he'd get 2 turns of increased crit rate, and he'd hopefully keep that up. It's intriguing for sure. You could obviously give him the increased defense if you need. That's an intriguing option. That's a very intriguing option. Elder Scarg, let's throw him in as a potential option. Okay, in team number 3, do we have any other really good Mischief tank just waiting to do their job? Yes, we do. Here we go. We actually have Lord Champfort. That's perfect. I see another one that I want to do a video on at some point. I'm going to keep it secret for now, though. I think it's somewhat obvious. Okay. We also have a Martyr. I'd love to get a Martyr into one of these teams. That would be really good, too. That'd be really good, too. Let's think about that when we come to the damage. But I think this works. This actually works, I think, pretty well. So there we go. We got 3 Mischief tanks. Lord Champfort. He gives himself a shield on his passive. 1 turn cooldown, big shield. He also gives us some additional decreased speed, which is nice. He has a decreased accuracy, decreased attack AoE, and decreased defense single target. He actually got really lucky and booked the passive. That's great. So you build Champfort with high resistance, and he can tank Mischief for you pretty much because he gives himself that extra buff, which makes it pretty straightforward. All right, good. Now, Lydia needs to go into not this team. She needs to go into one of these other 2 teams, and the world really is our oyster. I'm going to say we put Lydia into this team. So we've got that consistent, increased speed, and strengthen. And I think maybe we put Sifi into this team. I think that's going to work well, right? So for increased speed, we have increased speed covered here already. We don't need it. I think Sifi is going to be good here. That increased defense is going to be nice to keep people alive. The revive is going to be nice. Yeah, block debuffs, speed, reviving. Lydia gives us the speed. Okay, cool. I think that works well. Good. Okay, this team, so we have increased speed already. Okay, so we're fine there. This team has no burns, so we could throw in that Tumisia here, which was what I was thinking earlier. I think that could totally work. We're gonna want on this team some. Okay, let's look at these now one by one. So this team has actually got quite a lot going on for it. We need a good healer or reviver for this. Do we have any void healer revivers apart from the Sifi? We obviously have Arbiter. That can work. Raglan can be really good as well for this sort of thing. I mean, Duchess is an option, though Duchess will of course interfere with the Shamail stuff, so that's something to certainly bear in mind. Ninja for damage too. Syl does some healing. She can sort of work. Duchess is good. We have a Godseeker. Godseeker could work. Godseeker can definitely work. Okay, Godseeker. She's not built super well. She's pretty slow, but she obviously gives you the extended buffs and she gives you the healing. So extending Lydia's speed and strengthen is quite nice. That's actually quite good. And then we could, for example, throw Martyr in here. I think that could work. So Martyr is going to give increased attack and counterattack, AoE decreased attack and provoke. So she gives us some source of provoke here. And then we've got the The A1 placing decreased defense. I think this stuff actually comes together reasonably well. Like the counterattack with Champfort is nice. The counterattack with Geomancer is real nice. With Shamail, all that stuff. I think that team comes together reasonably well. That's reasonably useful. We're doubling up on the decreased attack with Martyr and Champfort. But that's not necessarily terrible. We're a little bit low on provokes, but we can probably make it work. I think that team looks reasonable. If we look at this team up here, so we've got Seafeet, we've got Cantra in the lead, and this, and this, and this. Okay. We're going to definitely want... We have decreased speed. Cantra can do decreased speed, and we've increased speed ourselves. We're going to want a consistent decreased defense or weaken, or weaken for this team. Do we have decreased defense and weaken together? We've got AoE HP burn already. I'm going to actually slap the Tunisia in here right now, and that's like the damage covered for that team. Okay, so for this team, do we have some sort of decreased defense and weaken, preferably together? We've got Gomlock. That might actually work. Is he booked? I've never used Gomlock. He's not booked. Okay, Gomlock, maybe. I want to do more vids on Gomlock. Poor Gomlock, he gets a hard time. We do have a Herndig. Herndiggity dog. That can work. Herndig can work. What other sorts of champs do we have? So decreased defense weakens. Not too much else. We have a Tomb Lord. That actually could be useful. Is he booked? Yeah. You know, Tomb Lord could actually be pretty good here. Tomb Lord gives you that AoE decreased defense, AoE decreased attack, some poisons, which is actually very helpful for I'm actually liking this a lot. Okay, I'm liking this a lot. So because his Cantra is unbooked right now, she's not super reliable on placing the decreased attack, the decreased speed. She can provide weaken as well. So she's not super reliable. And we do need quite a lot of debuffs for her to provoke. Now, Tomb Lord, you can poison Head of Decay. So we can stack up poisons on Head of Decay. That might work. It might end up that you've got too many debuffs. I'm not sure. And obviously the additional decreased speed is quite nice. I actually kind of liking Tomb Lord there as a decreased defense champion. So this team, we've got a decent amount of protection. So I think we might want something else to like just physically protect us. Some sort of ally protection could be kind of nice. But we've got a Mischief tank. We've got a way to deal with Torment. We've got provokes. We don't have a ton of damage either. So some sort of damage or some sort of ally protection, anything along those lines could work pretty well. You could always just throw in like an Elenarl as well. Is she booked? She is. You could throw in an Elenarl and just keep blowing up those poisons. It's actually not terrible. It gives you some more HP burns to supplement, more poisons, that sort of stuff. That might work. That could be a fun team. That would be a fun team to try. It might be terrible, but it could be fun. It could work out all right. Alternatively, just something like Ninja for damage, just straight up raw damage. That could also totally work. In terms of protecting the team, I mean, a Nari the Lucky could even work. That could be intriguing, right? Nari, okay, he's not booked, but decrease accuracy, decrease resistance. He has provoke as well. Counterattacks, probably overkill. Yeah. Yeah, or even this dude. This dude can be super good. Eurost, if he's booked. He's somewhat booked, but Eurost, he can give you strength and ally protection for your team. He can do cool stuff when enemies are poisoned, and quite a few of the heads are vulnerable to poison. We've got Tomb Lord to activate this poison stuff. Then his A1 can shield. I guess one issue could be that he would start tanking Mischief as well, which would be kind of bad. He puts poisons out when attacked. I mean, he's a maybe. I think Eurost is kind of underrated. So he's one to certainly consider at some point here. We also just straight up have the option of just throwing in something like a Mithrala. That actually could work really well too. Who is booked, so she's giving us that increased defense. Increased attack is going to up actually Shamail, Skarg, and Tomb Lord's damage a decent chunk. Shields and strengthen, which we don't really have otherwise, and some more poisons. I think actually, let's throw in a Mithrala in there. I think that looks kind of fun. That looks kind of cool. And like, we're maybe a little bit low on damage, but seeing as we have the Hex, maybe it could work. It's certainly a fun one. This team has a lot more damage with Tunisia and Mashald and that boosting. Now, this team definitely needs a healer, and it needs, again, a decreased defense sort of champion. So what will we put in here? We need something that does a lot of healing, keeps us alive. Options are actually fairly limited, aren't they? Yeah, this is where it can get pretty tricky. It can get pretty tricky. Still is sort of okay. We don't have a decreased speed either. I mean, Operdin ain't bad. Operdin ain't bad. Healing you, removing that stuff. He's not booked now, but he does quite a bit of healing. He could be a good healer. We obviously have Poison Boy can work too. Bad L to just heal your team. He can be good for that. Arbiter. Arbiter is actually a pretty good option for turn meter boosting us. So you've got speed and turn meter. I think that could work. Arbiter could be good. Revive. This team is very squishy, mind you. Very squishy. Very, very squishy. I mean, thinking. Demythic can work, but it's a bit risky. And oh, we've got a Rector Drath as well. Again, it sort of gets in the way. We've got Doom Priest. Useful. Can be good. Got lots of chance. I actually, funny enough, we built a bunch of teams here because I haven't been looking at the epics. We built them without even looking at the Royal Guards. But we do have just a lot of options. We have plenty and plenty of options. So we do. So actually, this is the perfect team for Shamrock, actually. Increased defense, increased speed, decreased speed. Well, we don't need the increased speed. The decreased speed is nice. You can also do it with Sylar, but she's not built, so not too keen on it. You could actually get some pretty good value here from Deliana as well. Like, Deliana would actually work really well in this team. Healing, block debuffs on the enemy team. The leeches, maybe overkill. Yeah, I'd have to think about it some more. I mean, Melga can work too. It's just an epic option. Gives you shield and healing and some revives. Melga can work. She can work. Thinking. I'm thinking about, what I'm thinking in my head is maybe moving Mithrala to this team. No, it doesn't work because the strengthen. You can't bring her because of the strengthen. That sucks. That definitely sucks. Yeah, gosh, not being able to bring a strengthen. It does make the team, this is the problem, it makes the team quite squishy, quite vulnerable. You know what, actually, I've been ignoring this champion. I probably shouldn't have. I think actually Brogni might be one of your answers here. Brogni with shielding. Just having enough healing here to keep us alive is going to be hard. This might be a Brogni Duchess sort of situation. Oh, you've got no decreased defense. Ugo, I think, is the way to go. Yeah, so like a Ugo. So you got the Duchess, the Ugo. Okay, Yeah, we've got Michelle on that. So the awkward thing is, of course, that, you're not going to get the full value out of Torment because Duchess is going to be protecting. But the damage reduction from Duchess is really good. You're going to be vulnerable to getting one-shot and stuff like that. I'm not super sold on this team. We might even salvage this team, like break this team apart. That's my thinking. I think you build this team right here. And so let me remove these. So let's say we take these out. I think that's the way, right? And we say, forget about him. So we've got a Tumisia to put in a different team, and we've got this guy to put in a different team. So I think you probably look at this team over here. You take out Royal Guard and use Mashald instead. So you have Mashald in here. So you're doubling up on the speed, but that's okay. Mashald in here, yeah. So we got this team right here with Shamrock. That team looks great. Then here we've got Mashald being boosted by Shamail. Lord Champfort to Mischief tank. The Martyr, we could probably replace Martyr with Tumisia then. Yeah, I think that's probably the way. You put in a Tumisia into that team. Yeah, I think that's the way. So we put those in. Unfortunately, we ditched Martyr, which is kind of a bummer. I was kind of hoping we could make the Martyr work. You could maybe put Martyr in here, but it's stacking up a bit too much with the Sifi. With the increased defense, you'd have to decrease attack, but we already have that with Tomb Lord. I think these actually kind of work. I'd actually say these three teams, I'm feeling like that, this has probably gone on plenty long. Yeah, this is enough theory crafting. You can see how long this sort of stuff takes though. And this is with an account where you've got tons and tons of options. So let's rebuild these as we would. So here I'm going to be putting in, let's rebuild it in a proper team order, because team order and positioning does matter. How do we set this up though? So like so, We probably don't want Elder Skarg next. We probably... Who do you put next? Like, this gets awkward. When someone gets eaten, how do we break them free? We are low on the damage. Low enough on the damage. Maybe we do. Maybe we do just put him second. And then probably Tomb Lord next. Tomb Lord's not going to do a ton of damage to help you break free, you see. This probably works. No, let's put in like Sifi next. So if they die, then we'll put in, yeah, like Mithrala. Put in Tomb Lord. And yeah, that should be fine. I think that works. Put in the Tomb Lord and put in... So this team is somewhat squishy, but really that Mithrala is going to help them stay up. We put in, I don't know, one of these Shemales. It doesn't really matter which one. I think that's quite decent. So you're going to be putting out a lot of debuffs, locking them down. We don't have any decreased speed, but that's okay. Well, we've decreased speed from Kantra actually, so we do have decreased speed. But I think that team sort of comes together pretty well. Yeah, I think that's all right. And then with this team, we'd have Mashald in the lead because he's just a monster. Mashald in second place, I think we would be putting in that Tumisia. So they're the two big damage. Yeah, just Mashald slamming raw damage, Tumisia hitting hard and burning. Then we would have in probably Godseeker in next to revive if somebody dies. We could probably find a better replacement for Godseeker, probably. Then we'd have in probably Lydia. We'd have our Lord Champfort being a resistance tank, and we'd have our second Shemale in there. So I think actually these teams, they look pretty good to me. So we've got like a really fairly standard Duchess style team with a speed booster, Mischief tank, Duchess to revive, Ugo to heal, and then 2 max HP nukers. Pretty good. We've got this team here. This is an intriguing one. This one's quite different, where we've got a lot of debuffs. We're low on damage with this team, but we've got a lot of control. We've got all these debuffs from Kantra. We've got Tomb Lord giving us lots of poisons as well. So Kantra is going to consistently do this, and they're going to have really low accuracy. You're going to have Elder Skarg potentially Mischief tanking and putting out some AoE HP burns, which is pretty cool. And yeah, Mithrala kind of keeping us alive. So it should be plenty tanky. Yeah, I guess the only stuff you could maybe change, I'd say the thing to change with this particular team would be, you could obviously, I actually think Sifi and Mithrala are really nice together, and Kantra and Shemale. You could rejig it potentially to make Shemale your Mischief tank. That's going to be hard because the shields from her are going to interfere. But you could do some other stuff, like you could also potentially put in a Boro instead. Could actually work really, really well, right? This is where you could switch him out and you could put in a Boro. So a Boro being a Mischief tank, she's going to work pretty well here. She can do the decreased defense AoE, and she does an AoE attack with decreased defense if the target's under 4 or more debuffs. And guess what? With Kantra putting out so many debuffs, that's going to be nearly every single time. So it's not going to be super consistent for decreased defense, but it's going to be pretty good. She's going to put out some good damage. So she'd be a really good Mischief tank there as well. And I would say in this composition, whenever, if you're lucky enough to get a Sisia, do we have a Sisia in the works or anything? Doesn't look like it, but if you ever do get Sisia Flame Tongue, I think she'd be perfect instead of Tomb Lord. She'd bring you decreased defense and weaken and AoE HP burn. So I think Sisia would actually fit in there real nice. Just double checking we don't have Sisia. Must have missed the guaranteed Sisia event, which is a bummer. One of the reasons I'm like, yeah, definitely go for those guaranteed events. And then this third team here, we got some slamming damage with a Mashald and with a Tumisia. Now, Tumisia is very squish, super squish, so you would need to probably rebuild her. Mashald is super squish as well, so we're definitely living a bit dangerously here. We're going to have the weaken decrease. This is probably not, this would not be a Nightmare team, for example. I'd say they're too squishy. We're going to have the decrease attack, decrease accuracy from Champfort. We're going to have strengthen from Lydia. We're going to be extending that. So that works reasonably well. But yeah, like this is a team where a Blood Shield Shemale could also potentially be a Mischief tank. But I do like the decrease attack from Champfort to try to keep these squishy ones alive. But yeah, so there you go. Look, there's a whole bunch of different and hopefully kind of fun team ideas, a whole bunch of theory crafting, some crazy stuff. If you guys have ideas after looking at this, if you're seeing like some standout champs and some cool stuff you could do, obviously let me know. Let Chubfort know. I'm sure he would love to hear. But there's a whole bunch of ideas for some stuff that I might throw together. I'd say this team can probably one key Nightmare. In fact, there is someone in the clan that almost runs this exact team. So Strike here, she did 39.6 million with Duchess, Skullward, Kimmy, Ugo, blah, blah, blah. So this team does work. Now we've got Shamrock instead of Kimmy. Shamrock's not as good, though the increased defense is nice. Shamrock's not quite as good as Kimmy, but I still think that that team is going to put up a good performance, a very good performance, hopefully, and it can totally work. Like for example, with this team, he's got Krisk instead to Mischief tank, and Krisk gives you increased speed and decreased speed. So that's what Krisk does right there. Here we can see this team, sort of the same team. They did 22 million. Callisto did 22 million. Interesting. So you might need to use two of these teams. I certainly think you've got a two-key Nightmare. Like this team and, I don't know, one of the others could two-key Nightmare. This team should be, yeah, I don't know. It's interesting. Look, there we go. That's probably enough for today. You can sort of test them out and see and obviously mix and match and all the rest. I would say that Oboro is probably not as good as Elder Skark. I think Elder Skark is probably the way to go. I think so. And we should certainly have, like, Sifi and Mithrala are going to have enough resistance to never get stuff stolen off them anyway. And we've got the block buffs from Kantra. So it's like, and Kantra was not going to have that many buffs. So more the question if Shamael or Tomb Lord get buffs stolen off them, it's kind of annoying. And Elder Skark, but you'll have like 3 champs at high resistance. And Kantra's going to burn through her buffs pretty quick. I mean, yeah, we'll see. But yeah, there you go. Hope you enjoyed. And I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.